Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk about high risk versus low risk in pregnancy and how to prepare your body for pregnancy so that you can be as low risk as possible. I should probably start off by saying what the definition of high risk is. And basically, when a woman is high risk, that means she has an increased risk of complications during her pregnancy, labor, and postpartum. The reason this is such a big deal is I think that when you ask women, they want to be low risk. Most women want to go into pregnancy with the knowledge and the preparation to be able to learn how to take care of themselves in such a way that they increase the odds of having a successful pregnancy, a relatively good birth experience, a postpartum that's not too horrible, and overall, more than that, a healthy baby. I think that there's a huge misconception about conception, pregnancy, and everything that happens afterwards. I think that people think it's random. They think that it's just luck of the draw. I know this person that had a really successful, enjoyable pregnancy, and then a great birth and a great postpartum. And then I know someone over here who had just a terrible experience all around. And while there are a lot of factors that we cannot control, there are genetic factors, there's disabilities, there's autoimmune conditions. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking more about the average run of the mill woman like myself. Outside of those uncontrollable factors, there are actually a lot of factors that are determined by our lifestyle and some of the choices we make around food, nutrition, daily activities, exposure to like certain environmental toxins, our nervous system health and regulation, the quality of the relationships that we have in our lives, everything from the food we eat to our ability to laugh and enjoy life and experience the world in a positive way. I think that our culture treats birth and pregnancy and that entire cascade as just a random event because it's kind of been encouraged in our modern society. We have a medical system that, although is super important for true emergencies, it's sort of become a one size fits all expectation that every woman is going to pursue an obstetrician, go in regularly for ultrasounds, and go to the hospital and have a birth. And those of us who have been in the birth space for a long time, I'm a trained birth doula. I also trained with a home birth midwife for 2 years and have witnessed a lot of births in both the home birth setting and the hospital setting. And I have this purview that the medicalization of birth, I think that this system has sort of promised to take care of everything for us. And it's not only disconnected women from the process, but it's actually excluded us from the process altogether. And women are pretty special, and birth and our reproductive capacities are not only a biological design, depending on how you believe, from the creator or from nature, but it's also a profoundly a spiritual experience. It's deeply tied to our consciousness. It's really meant to involve stewardship and conscientiousness and really active participation. And I think that the model and the systems that we are dealing with in these modern times, it sort of almost without maybe meaning to encourages women to take the back seat on a lot of the decisions and a lot of what's considered normal throughout our fertility process and this reproductive story that we're all trying to tell here. And one of the bigger concerns I have about our modern healthcare system is that it doesn't seem to emphasize the importance of preparation. I find that most women who enter into my practice as like a birth coach who specializes in ancestral nutrition and the traditional stewardship of birth and pregnancy, I find most women to be very nutrient deficient and very uninformed about how to sort of take care of their bodies as they prepare for their reproductive journey. I find that a lot of men and women need to be part of this conversation because it does take two, and sperm health actually matters just as much as egg health. And these conversations matter because infertility is on the rise. And I really think that's a result of poor health going into the pregnancy journey. A lot of us are going in with either fractured fertility or poor health. And that really does not only affect our experience within pregnancy itself, but it does affect the health of the baby and the vitality of the baby. Not only do we have to be strong enough to give birth in a low risk sort of way, but our babies have to be strong enough to be born. And that's something that I just don't think the mainstream sort of medical establishment really hammers home for people. And it really doesn't need to, because it's there to take care of whatever happens. And so I think that the medical model sort of sets us up as like, well, you're low risk until suddenly you're not. And then it's kind of too late to fix it. It's too late to recalibrate it. It's like once you're diagnosed with preeclampsia, you have to follow the rules and you have to be really careful, because that's really not something you want to mess with. By the time you're diagnosed with gestational diabetes, there were a lot of metabolic steps going back way before you got pregnant to lead you up to that point. So when I'm talking about preparing for pregnancy, I'm talking about starting before you even decide you want to conceive and getting established a healthy rhythm to set yourself up for the most successful pregnancy, birth experience, and postpartum and healthy baby that you possibly can. How do you do this? How do you prepare for pregnancy? Well, based on my experience in the birth world, I've put together what I believe to be a very well-rounded concept. It involves 6 pillars of preparation: nutrient density, blood sugar, minerals, nervous system health, strength, and birth education. I think the biggest take home that I want women and families to understand here is that while there are factors that are going to surprise you, and there are things that are going to happen in your reproductive experience that are completely unique to you, and some may be completely out of control, there are so many factors that you have control over. And with enough preparation, it can make a huge difference on whether you're high risk or low risk upon entering your pregnancy experience. I actually have a free PDF that I made that covers all of this stuff. I've got it linked in the description below. It's called the Preconception Risk Reduction Blueprint, and it covers the 6 pillars. It covers everything that I've talked about today, and it's definitely worth checking out. Thanks for being here. I'll see you guys next time.